Okay, and so we are live. Hi everyone. Hi Mitra. I want to confirm if I said that correctly or if you'd like me to call you anything else.
Yes, I think that's perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Hi everyone. Hi Mitra. Welcome back to DevMar Dots. And for today's episode, we're going to be talking about something really interesting. It has been one part of the discussion is something that I think everyone around the world is basically using. It's a buzzword. It's been applied to so many different things at the same time, and that is AI. And our conversation is basically going to be centered around the impact of AI in developer advocacy. But before we go into all of that bit, I just want to share something. So today I'm a different host. Sophia is supposed to be doing this, but my name is Kandor, and I'm also part of the team here at B Camp. And this is the seventh episode of DevMar Dots. And today we have the wonderful Mitra on this episode, and she's going to be giving us a few insights on the impact of AI in developer advocacy. So let's get right into the discussion. And in the comments, if anyone has any questions or if anyone would like to share anything, we'll basically note that, and then we'll get to answer the questions. But that would be after our normal conversations and after the series of questions that I'm going to be asking during this conversation. Okay, let's get right into it. So first off, if you'd kindly like to share your journey with us, how did you get started? What challenges did you face in your tech journey? And have there been any favorite moments that you had? Can basically just share that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, hi everybody. This is Haimantika Mitra. You can also call me Hey. So, people call me Hi Haimantika. There's different way of pronouncing my name and also Mitra. So, thank you everybody for being here, and also thanks to Sophia and the team at BCamp for inviting me. And before I share my journey, I would like to say that I am working as a developer advocate currently at Hashnode, and before that, I used to work at AppWrite as a developer advocate. And slightly before that, I used to work at Microsoft as a technical support engineer. So that's about my full-time experiences. And I have always been, I have always loved the community. Like most of the technical skills, the people skills that I have learned today are from the community. So I always had a very soft corner for the tech community in general. And to talk a bit about my journey, so I come from a small city in India, and when I was graduating that time, we did have internet, but it wasn't as as cheap as it is right now, and it wasn't as much available as well. And most of the learnings that I had were from the college premises, and it was following very old syllabus and everything. Like I think it's true for most colleges all around the country. So that was my story as well. But slowly, while I was nearing my graduation years, that is when I got to know about communities, and the first one that I joined was the Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador community, or also abbreviated as MLSA. Back then it was called as MSP, and that is where I met people from India, all across India, and also from folks and students from all across the world. And that is where I not only learned tech skills, like I learned how to use Azure, I learned various Microsoft technologies, but I also meet a lot of friends all across the world. So that's typically how my journey started. That is when I started building a lot with Azure and Microsoft Power Platform, and that also how I got my first internship as a software engineer, where I was building with again cloud or Azure and Microsoft Power Platform and M365. So that's what I started doing. And slowly there was a hackathon that happened, like a countrywide hackathon. And then I got my first internship at Microsoft, and then I moved into full time. It was a support engineering role. I loved the company, but I realized that I love something where I am uh, doing something with code, or I'm also meeting a lot of people. So That's when I shifted to developer advocacy, and that's what I have been doing for 2.5 years right now. And it's a great journey so far. There's a lot of learnings that one needs to do. So to answer your question about roadblocks, I wouldn't say like there were any such roadblocks. The only blockage or what I would see is the patience that you need to keep are also the FOMO. Like right now, there's a lot of people doing so many things. You'll see folks doing, let's say, some mentorship or some open source program and so many things on Twitter or on LinkedIn. So you might feel that, okay, I'm so behind, there's so many things that I don't know. Back then the FOMO was much less, but I would still feel that, okay, there are people my age who are doing much better than me. What am I doing with my life? So that was a spot or a phase that most of us goes through. And that is where you need to be very patient, and you need to stick to your skills or stick to what you really like, and say to yourself that, okay, this is what I like and this is what I want to do in my career, at least for the next 3 to 5 years. So I feel that it's not a road blocker, but a very important practice that we must have. Just have patience and believe in yourself and the efforts that you are putting in. So that's my entire journey. And if you had to give ask me to give a takeaway, it would be just to be patient and also consistent. Even I wasn't very consistent, but at least made it look like I was consistent, and also take ample breaks. So that's totally about me and the journey and some takeaways.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Um, I think I resonate with what said. I'll just pick one from the first part and then move towards the ending part of your comment. For internet and access to tech skills, that's like a challenge for most people in this part as well. And it's also good that persons like you from somewhere far away, um, really far from this side of the globe, is also experience that challenge. That's one thing. And then most people here have also found a way to somehow cope that challenge and still move on with their tech career and their tech skills. And then the next thing you mentioned about having patience and being consistent, I think that's also something that people who are coming up in the tech space can begin to learn as well, and to do something that they really like. So thank you so much for sharing
True.
that. Um, let's go to the next one. So, from your experience in developer advocacy, because of course you love people and you are trying to do things for them, do you think that AI has a negative or positive effects in developer advocacy?
Oh, that's a very nice question. So I would like to say that AI does not have any negative experience or any negative impact on developer advocacy, and not just developer advocacy, but any tech in general. So what I see as AI, and again, it's a very personal view, is something like cloud. Like when cloud was coming in, a lot of people thought that, okay, this is something that we cannot see, doesn't exist. Probably this is a box or a bubble that will burst soon. But now you can see that almost every company, every tech, like cloud is an important skill, and it's only going to be more and more important. Such I think is also very similar with AI. Like it's an catalyst or something that can help you do think better, faster, or it can take care of those monotonous job or something that would previously take a lot of time, but now you can take help of AI and make things faster. So I would, just to give an example, that as a part of our job as a developer advocate, we also do a lot of thinking, and then there's a lot of strategies that we need to put together as well. What I do is that I read a lot of case studies or a lot of documentation, and then at times I also ask AI that, hey, this is what I am building, and this is what I have built so far. What do you think about it? Um, like even before showing it to my peers or somebody in the company, I just have like you most probably heard the word like personal assistant. So I actually treat AI as my personal assistant, and I ask, okay, this is what I've come up with. What do you think? What else can I add? Just take feedback and iterate on it, work better, just to make a solution that is nearing perfection. And then I go back and ask for feedback. And this is just one example. Another example is that we are constantly, like as a developer advocate, we call ourselves a generalist because we are moving from one tech to other tech really fast. And there might be some at some points where we do not know a technology 100%, but we need to create a demo or a POC. That is where again AI tools really come to help, because it can help you understand certain examples, it can help you think, it can help it can give you the first point that you would need to get started, like maybe the ideation part if you're writing a blog or documentation. If you're getting started with some code, it can help you with some basics. So I feel that it's only there to make your job easier, and it does not have any negative impact, because we are much more than that. Like I personally feel that AI cannot replace human thinking. If you see AI, like the writing that AI has, it's very easy to understand that okay, this is written by AI and this is written by human. So that way I feel that AI cannot replace human thinking and the way human brain works, but it can definitely help us and or be a good companion in some of the tasks that is very monotonous to us.
Great. So I especially love that you
Yeah,
refer to AI as being a companion and that it can greatly help in the ideation stage. And that's what most people clearly do not understand. Some people see it as something that has all the answers or something that can clearly do their work. It's also great that
yeah,
you mentioned it's definitely not going to replace humans, but it's just going to be there as a companion, somewhat giving ideas and helping them complete their work. So thanks for sharing that.
absolutely.
Um,
Yeah.
so moving on to the next, do you think, I think you've already touched this as to how you use AI
Yeah.
in your work, but then do you think it is currently being used in developer advocacy, and what are some benefits that you've noticed?
Um, I think I'm not sure about the entire, profession in general, but from my point of view, like I mentioned, that if I'm learning about the new technology, I quickly go. Then first thing that I do is read the documentation of the technology that I'm reading. But then, let's say I want a quick idea or something, then instead of going through numerous resources, I just ask it to give me a summary. So that's one way to use it. The other way to use it is like, especially when we are creating a lot of content, there are chances that you will face writer's block, especially if you're writing a lot of content. Or there might be chances where you cannot think creatively anyway. That's where AI can help you be a good like again to use the word companion, like it can be a good companion, can help you remove those blockers that's there. And also sometimes there are some annoying bugs that I face, and then there is no solution to that, either on Stack Overflow or something. But then the chat, I use ChatGPT a lot, and I also use some AI editors. And I recently learned about an AI editor called Cursor. So those these tools can also help you fix those small bugs, and the bug can be as small as something, maybe a missing semicolon, and you may not be able to see it, and the internet might not also know what is going wrong. But if you copy the code and just ask ChatGPT that, hey, can you find out what's wrong with my code? It can tell you, okay, in line number 47, there is a missing semicolon or something like that. So these are some of the areas I use, and I think that a lot of developer advocates might also use in the same way. But definitely, but also one thing that I would mention, and all of us must keep in mind, that be extra sure that if AI is allowed in your workplace and you are only giving those data to AI that you are allowed to share, like it's a publicly shareable data, and it is not something that is private to your company. And the main reason is that whatever data you are sharing with AI is used as a training data set for the AI to learn better. So make sure that you are only giving those information and those data away that is publicly available, and not something that is confidential to your work. So this is a big thing to keep in mind, and a small mistake can go a long way. So I would say that it's always a good thought to keep in mind.
Sure, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. I'd like to pick one thing from what you said, which is sharing data that is really transparent and everyone in the company has access to, and one that should be shared with the AI. There have been
Yeah,
organizations that create a certain general account, and so everyone has access to that account. Everyone can see what the other team member is asking the AI bot. So they're just sure you're not sharing some sensitive information that shouldn't go out to the public. So in as much as you use it in developer advocacy, and because you're already in the field, I think other persons who are in the field as well, outside your region or outside your locality, are also using AI, and I'm sure they're seeing the same benefits that you are. Okay,
Absolutely.
let's move on
Yeah.
to great. So let's move on to talking about the people, and not just the work this time.
Yeah.
Can AI enhance developer experience and improve developer productivity? So you've mentioned different benefits of AI in your work as a developer advocate, documentation, reviewing, so many things. But then
Yeah.
for the people itself, for the experience of the developers, does AI enhance their experience and productivity?
Absolutely. So about the developer experience, I think I'll just uh, pick up one feature from our product where we are using AI. So just to give a bit of an intro about Hashnote, we are a blogging platform. Like we started as a blogging platform, and developers, thousands of developers blog or write articles every day, and we also have a headless CMS offering as well. So we have AI tools free for all, and what it does is, let's say, whenever you are writing an article, there might be some grammatical errors or spelling errors, and you can quickly go ahead and check it. And then there are other features, like let's say you're adding an image to your article and you need to add an alt text, but you don't know how to write one. You can also ask AI to write it for you. Then there is a chatbot that is aware of what your article is about. Like it's a contextual chatbot, and you can ask it to maybe create an conclusion for you, generate a title that is SEO friendly. And then there are so many other features that we have added to our AI assistant. And I feel that as a writer myself, that whenever I'm writing on a platform and I see that there's a tool that is helping me remove all of those blockers, which would take additional time from my day-to-day job in thinking, or maybe I would need to do some extra work, but it's actually making my job easier, then I definitely agree that it's going to improve the developer experience. And this is about Hashnote, and I have also used GitHub Copilot. So, if you're writing code and let's say there is some function that you are calling, like the chat, like the Copilot will go and populate it for you, or it will suggest that, okay, is this the one that you are intending, or is this the one that you're talking about, or the one that you want to call in this particular line of code? So I think that it definitely improves the experience. Especially when you are working a full-time job that you must be really tired, but when there is some additional help to make you think faster or make your job better and also improve your productivity, is definitely an elevation in developer experience. So I totally agree that AI can help in improving the experience and also in improving the productivity. So for the productivity, I have a very good example, and a friend of mine, he shared this example that he was working at a big MNC where they had a lot of code that was written many years back. And like it goes around with more company, like most companies, that it has a lot of legacy code. And there are chances that some developers might not write comments to it, and you might not have any idea about what that code is doing, because it must be thousands and thousands of lines of code, and to understand what each part is doing is going to take you a very long time. But with the use of something like a GitHub Copilot, you can go and ask it to write some comments, and that is going to make your work very easy, and that's where it can also make you productive. So something that was going to take you days or even a month to understand the code is now being done in just a few hours, and you can get straight to refactoring the code if that's what you're asked to. So I am, full, or I believe 100% that AI is improving the developer experience and productivity.
Awesome. And I also think as developer advocates, you're also responsible for, telling these developers how they can use the AI machines and how they can use that to improve their productivity, so that they begin to do more with their time and build more things instead of spending so much time thinking and ideating. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I just want to go back a little bit for those who are just joining. Again, we are talking about the impact of AI in developer advocacy. And so far, we have shared, we've listened to Mitra share her experience getting up to leading up to her role currently as a developer advocate. We've also talked about how AI can enhance developer experience and how it is being used in developer advocacy. So let's get to talk about skills. Even though there's AI, right? And of course there are new bots, new machines being built every day. There is so much more data pushed into the development of more AI machines. But then what skills do developer advocates need to adapt to the increasing presence of AI in the tech space?
Well, that totally depends, and the reason for that is because role of a developer advocate might change from one company to other. Like for example, the kind of role that I had at AppRight is very similar to the role that I am doing at Hashnote, but then it has some differences. Similarly, it will also change to the company that you are working at as a developer advocate, because different companies have different products and different requirements, and their KPIs and the metrics are also very different. But one thing that I really feel in, and it's not only true about developer advocates but also about developers in general, that whenever you see a new tech is growing, and then more and more companies, like even the big tech giants are talking about it and then integrating it in almost all of their products, that is when you know, okay, this is a shift that we are seeing, and then adding this skill to our skill set is only going to help us in the near future. And it's not just true about AI, it can be about something else as well. But what I feel is, like, there's a term known as generalist. As developers and also as developer advocates, you need to be really good generalist, that whenever you are given a piece of tech, you should be able to build something out of it, like a POC or a demo app. So just so you can go ahead and say, okay, this is, I understand the basics, I do have surface level knowledge, and if required, I can go and become an expert on it or build things upon it. So like, long story short, I believe that, be it as a developer advocate or as developers, you need to invest on your technical skills, and then with AI coming to play, you need to see that how can you use AI to your current job role, or how can you use AI to make interesting demos, like let's say if you are aligned with the product, how can you build a demo where you're using an AI and make developers really like the product that you're aligned with. So this there's not one answer to it, but in short, I would say that find ways where you can find the new technology relevant to your current job and also can help you in future, and then upskill accordingly. And this is true both as a developer advocate and also as developers, that you have the extra skills. It's only going to help you in the future.
Thank you so much for sharing that as well. I especially like that you mentioned them gaining technical skills and then upskilling as these technology keeps coming up and as new updates are being made. But the thing is to just know the basics, right? There's always a basics for everything. Um,
Yeah,
for example, for those who are learning to code, maybe probably front end, they should of course know basic languages, HTML, CSS, and all that. So if they get
yeah,
to understand the basics, or if they have the basic skills, technical skills, and if they especially know how to reach out to developers and speak to them, then they can always upskill as AI keeps coming. Great, thank you for
absolutely.
sharing that. Awesome. So let's move on to something that is a little bit related to what we've talked about with regards to
Yeah,
developer advocacy. But now this is more around DevRel, DevRel strategies in general.
yeah.
Do you think it is changing DevRel strategies negatively or positively? What effect is it having on them?
When it comes to strategies, I don't think that it's really having a big impact, that like whenever we are building a strategy, it's also around people and not just technology. And with AI, the people haven't changed. Like developers didn't change a lot. Like maybe the skill set change, or the way they expect a product to behave or the experience to be has changed. But strategies related to programs and other things haven't changed. But otherwise, that I think that it has changed positively. Like I am in full support with AI, which is why you will hear me talking only positively. But there might be certain negative aspects as well that I am not aware of. But the reason why I say that is changing things positively is that with more and more company using AI, there are certain expectations that are set by developers. So whenever you're catering to developers, they expect your product to also have similar features or to have similar experience. So whenever we are growing our product or building our product, so we are now thinking that way, because at the end of the day, as a dev tool company or as a tech company, we want more and more developers use our product. We want to improve the developer experience as much as we can. And also, as DevRel, we are influencing these ideas, or we are influencing these decisions a lot. And just because we are talking to developers day in and day out, we do understand what they want. And we have seen that let's go back to 2 years back when AI had just started, like Gen AI specifically. AI and machine learning was there since forever, but since ever since Gen AI has started taking importance, more and more people are now open to use tools. Like previously people were like, okay, no, we won't be using ChatGPT. But now almost 80% of the developers that I talked to, or I do have a conversation to, they say that they use one AI tool or the other. It can be ChatGPT, it can be Copilot, or it can be maybe some other AI tools, like there is AI powered editors and all. So people, are especially developers, they are embracing these technologies, and it's only helping them improve the experience. So I believe that all of these together also help us shape several strategies, build programs, or build demos which developers like. And so, to answer your question, I believe that AI is having a positive impact. It's making us think, how can we improve, or how can we make the life of a developer better and smoother, and also make it more productive. So it's definitely having a very positive impact.
Great. Thank you for sharing that as well. So, as more
Yeah.
needs of developers are coming up, that would mean that the old strategies would have to change. And then those in the DevRel space would, of course, need to rely on AI a little bit to help them refine those strategies and address the needs of developers. Great.
Yeah.
So, we have a question from the audience. I'm just going to show that here. Okay, so he's asking, one of the responsibilities of a developer advocate is developer education. How do you think AI can assist to streamline developer education efforts?
This is a good question, and I haven't really thought a lot about it. And but I think what it can help in is, like we do have a lot of AI tools, and whenever we are using it, maybe in our developer education initiatives, it can, let's say, there are so many apps, like you just need to put a video and it will generate the transcript for you, for example. So I believe that it can bring in those extra things that we feel or we might have easily overlooked, but now AI can bring those things. And it not only helps in education or the experience, but also in accessibility. For example, transcript is an example that I gave you of. And other than that, it's a question that I need to think about a lot. And I trust, maybe I can think more and give you a better answer later. But then I believe that, other than that, also in developer education, since we are building demos, like I mentioned, now we see that whenever we are building a demo that has some integration with AI, or is using one of the AI tools that is being used or loved by a lot of developers, those tutorials or those use cases are being loved or read by most developers. So that's where we know it does help us filter the content or understand what kind of content the developers are liking. And other than that, about streamlining, so AI it can also be used to, like I mentioned, that you can go ahead and chat with it, and it can maybe give you some ideas to make things better, or it can give you suggestions to remove the blockers that you might have while creating content. So these are some of the answers that I had on the top of the mind, but it's also a very good question. So I might need to think deeper about it and see how AI can actually have a greater impact in developer education. So thank you so much for the question.
Right, thank you so much for sharing that. So you can of course get to think about it, and if you have more answers, we'll always share it with them. Okay, so there's another question from him. Um, how can DevRel teams use AI to enhance and improve developer support? I think you already touched
Yeah.
this when we were talking about the developer experience, but if you'd like to answer again, that's fine.
Sure. So, especially for developer support, I have seen that a lot of companies, like even at Hashnode, we use our Discord as a developer, as a community where developers also ask the support questions, and even some companies might use Slack, or there are these forums that people might use for developer support. And the one problem that I have seen is that these forums do not index the questions that are being asked in these forums to Google. So that is where I believe that maybe an integration with Discord or Slack or something with AI that can help us automatically index the questions and the answers that we are getting, either to Google, or help us build a chatbot and add it to the support forum that we have. It can be a Microsoft Teams, or it can be Slack, it can be Discord, or some other forum as well. And I believe that we there are some questions or frequently asked questions that we get a lot, and we can just build a bot that is trained on these questions, and whenever somebody is tagging the bot asking the same question, it can respond the answer. So that can be one way. The other way, like I mentioned, that we can build an integration between our forum and with AI, so that whenever a question is asked, it is indexed, and that will also help us with SEO. We are Most of the companies are doing a great job in writing the documentation, but then there's so much to write and talk about. We do miss on these questions that are being asked privately on Discord, or maybe on a forum that is a closed forum and it's not there out in the internet. So definitely AI can help in these areas. And personally, a few years back, almost in 2021, I built a bot when I was working at Microsoft, using Microsoft virtual agents, like a chat bot. And what that would do is, it would so there was a forum where there was a lot of, it was an ambassador program that was running, and then there were questions that were being asked throughout the day, and but the employees were active only for a particular time frame, because they worked at a particular time zone. So that is where the chatbot was really really helpful. And what we did was, we also made an extension. So whenever there was a question that was not, the bot couldn't answer, it could email the list in the form of a Google sheet or an Excel sheet to the employee, and they would see, okay, these are the new questions that I have answered. And they would use that Excel sheet as a knowledge base. They would add the answer there and then update it. So whenever, then the bot would respond the query, and it whenever the same question is asked the next time, it would also return the same answer. So this is a long example of how AI can be used in developer support, but there must be another ways to do things.
Okay, that's great. I think
Yeah.
you gave the right answers to your question, and I will agree with you. Because I've used this collaboration to Confluence and Jira. There's the there's the AI bots there that gives you an option to write with it. So basically, just give it ideas, and then it fleshes out the document. It gives somehow somehow summarizes what's in your mind, and then you just get to pick the bits that you want and add the rest of the information to it. So that helps the rest of the team to clearly see what you're trying to
Yeah.
say, and everyone is working collaboratively on the same project to produce results. So that's great. We are rounding
Yeah.
up, and so if you'd like to share, are you working on something exciting? Is there a new tutorial or a new book, or just share something
Yeah.
you're working on with us.
Hmm. I Most of the things that I'm working on are side projects that I try to build over the weekend. Like it can be with AI as well. Like I try out new AI products, or and so most of the things that I have built so far are just a wrapper on OpenAI. Like it's nothing very new or very different. But other than that, I maybe in the future, and I'm also writing articles, and I'm trying to write articles almost every week about AI or also on observability because that's my newfound area of interest. And that's mostly what I've been doing. A book is something that I've been thinking on for a very long time, but it's also a very taking process. Maybe sometime soon I'll finally get time to write about it, but I don't know when, so I'm not here to make any promises. But hopefully, if I do so, I'll make sure to update it on my Twitter and LinkedIn profiles.
Sure, that's great. We'll share our socials with
Yeah.
everyone, and so they can get to follow you and also take note of any new thing that you're sharing
Yeah.
soon. So before we wrap up, do you have any last words for the audience? Is there anything you'd like to share? Maybe a summary of what we've discussed so far, and yeah, you can basically do that.
Um, yeah, absolutely. So, first thing that I would like to say is that do not fear AI. It's only here to assist you, and do not have the thought that it's going to take away your job. I know it can be, very easy to think about that way, but then we have all seen what happened to Devin. We thought, okay, this is the software engineer, the AI software engineer that's going to take our job. But we got to know okay, that was a totally made up video. So I feel that do not be scared of it, but see that how you can use the new technology in your current job or how you can use it to upskill your tech skills or the skill set that you have today. So that's one thing. And lastly, that what I would like to say is that after you have after you are in a full-time job, also give some time to yourself so that you can upskill on something that you really like or some a newfound interest. For example, like I may be a developer advocate, but then I might have a new interest in designing, so I would like to give some time to learn how to design or maybe become a UI UX designer, or if not to pursue it professionally, but just because for the likes of it. So that's something that I would also suggest, that outside your job do find hobbies or interests that you really like, because especially if you are always working, there are chances that you might burn out, and this has been a case for many folks, especially during COVID, since they were all working from home and not meeting their friends and families. So make sure that you find or you make the balance for yourself, and you also invest time on yourself a lot. So that's all from my end, and I hope that it has been helpful for you. And if you have any questions, you are more than free to ask me here, or you can also always DM me on Twitter and even on LinkedIn.
Thank you so much. So while we are wrapping up, we got one last
Yeah.
question. If you don't mind,
Hmm.
I would just like us to take
Sure.
that quickly. So, what resources would you recommend for anyone wanting to learn technical writing or documentation writing?
That's a very good question, but there is not one resource that I followed. What I would do is, I feel that writing is something that you get better with as and more articles that you keep writing. And maybe you can follow the articles that Free Code Camp has. Like those are really nice articles. You can learn from their writing styles, or you can also follow documentations like the one from Stripe, then also from AppWrite, where I used to work before. My team has worked, very hard on making it really nice. So these are two then also MongoDB. So you can also Vercel documentation is also great. So there are a lot of companies that have done really a good job on documentation. So you can read, take some notes and see what is working out for them and what is not working out. But other than that, I feel that writing is just like mathematics, and the more you practice is the better you get at it. But one thing that keep it clear in your mind, this that whenever you're writing, especially when you're writing things that are technical in nature, be as simple, write it in as simple language as you can. And I follow this thing whenever I'm writing, that talk to me like I'm five, like I'm 5 year old. So whenever I'm writing something, I try to explain it in as simpler way as possible, or giving as many examples that whenever somebody, even from a non-tech background, is reading my article, can get some context and get started. So these are some of the tips that I had. I don't feel that I'm 100% or I'm excellent at it, but this has definitely helped me learn, and I'm sure that it will help you learn as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think the resources that you mentioned
Yeah,
are pretty great to start with. And that for anyone looking to venture into these skills can start from somewhere and then keep on practicing and try to break down concepts as small as possible so that everyone across different audiences can better understand what is being shared. So thank you so much.
yeah,
This has been wonderful. I've had a lovely time conversing with you and learning from your experience so far. And I look forward to possible future collaborations and more discussions like this with
yeah.
you. And yeah, thank you so much for doing this with us. And we look forward to more conversations. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure being here.
All right then. Bye.
Bye.